What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, and I've decided to give in to temptation and make a video about this rumor about Beyond Good and Evil 2. So talking about the Beyond Good and Evil 2 rumor was something that I wasn't quite sure if I was going to do just because it's been so hard for me to be on a more consistent schedule with making videos, and I was kind of getting a couple of days removed from the news, and everyone and their freaking mom had been talking about it. So I was like, do I really need to make another video and add to this huge pool of folks that are talking about the rumor and writing articles about it and making YouTube videos? And ultimately, even though it's been a couple of days, I decided to do it because, truly quite a few people had brought it to my attention and asked me to talk about it and were curious about my thoughts. And also, I am such a massive, unbelievable fan of the first Beyond Good and Evil. I've brought it up so many freaking times, both in real life with my friends and talking about gaming, and also here on Rule of Two Review, that I was like, screw it. Like, my fanship of this game is that strong. I think a lot of folks are kind of gravitating towards it just because it's a Nintendo piece of news and just because it's a rumor that relates to the Nintendo NX. And no one wants to really let go of those kinds of things, which to a degree I certainly understand because I like talking about those things as well. But like I said, even though I kind of wanted to let this one go, the difference here is I have since day one worshipped the ground that Beyond Good and Evil has walked on. I mean, it really is. I say this about a lot of games, but I truly mean it when I say it's easily, without question, a top 10 game all time for me. I still own my original GameCube copy. I purchased it, the HD downloadable re-release on the Xbox 360 a couple of years ago when that happened. And I've made a few videos updating the status of the Beyond Good and Evil 2 pretty much since that's been going. And this is just kind of really another rumor surrounding this game. And I couldn't help myself. I have to talk about this. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on here. Beyond Good and Evil 2, a game that would be developed and published by Ubisoft, has been rumored for a very long time. The first game was a 2003 6th-gen release for the GameCube, PS2, and original Xbox, and I remember it winning E3 Game of Show the year before, and I remember reading about it in Game Informer, and I was like really fascinated by the concept, and it seemed like this huge scoped kind of game. This was early on in the sandbox video game lifestyle, if I can talk. Sandbox, it's a sandbox. When sandbox games and stuff in the 6th gen were kind of becoming a big thing with Grand Theft Auto 3 blowing the doors open, this was like a futuristic sci-fi kind of thing, and it was very mysterious, but it won Game of Show, and I was like, what the hell? That could be really, really cool. And then a year later, the game released to really great rave reviews. Every gamer in the world who played it loved it, and I know this because I was also managing a GameStop at the time, so I was talking to a lot of gamers back then, 2003, and I played the game. I picked it up day one because I was so curious, and I loved it. Absolutely fascinating, wonderful game. Fantastic world building. Jade is one of the greatest characters, female or otherwise. She's just one of the greatest characters ever. I know a lot of people will stand on her as a good example of a strong female character, which she absolutely is. But beyond that, she's just one of the best characters ever. I don't care what her gender is. She's fantastic. The whole, the stealth mechanic combined with the photo-taking mechanic was a very new, fresh thing at the time. Not to mention this cool world with, like, this secret underground sort of, government movement that was happening, this rebellion movement against this corrupt government and its leader and all these things on this weird planet, futuristic planet. It was just the coolest damn thing ever. I love the freaking game. Obviously, you can tell. So because of that, everyone was wondering, well, okay, I just skipped over the part where, yes, everyone loved it and it reviewed well, but it did not sell well enough to warrant a sequel. It dropped in price very quick. And then everyone was like, well, I guess Beyond Good and Evil was a failure. And that was such a tragic, weird thing for me to comprehend at the time. However, in 2008, we all know about the random, mysterious CG film that was released by Ubisoft featuring Paige and Jade that seemed to hint at a sequel coming, but then it fell off the radar. And nothing official had been released from the game since. A few years ago, there was like a leaked gameplay footage kind of video of about 2 or 3 minutes that everyone said seemed to be prototype footage of Beyond Good and Evil 2 that was never confirmed. It certainly looked like it was Jade who was running through the streets in that video, but it still was never confirmed, so we don't really know exactly what was happening with that. And, there's been a couple of hints dropped from Michel Ancel, who's the creator and one of the head directors at Ubisoft. he's dropped a couple of hints, here and there, and it's come back and like officially, yes, we're working on it. We're waiting for a new generation of hardware, and then it disappears. And that's happened a few times. So we thought it was going to become a 7th gen release, waiting for better hardware, and then that came and went, nothing happened. A few years ago, it made it sound like it was going to be an 8th gen release for 8th gen hardware, and so far nothing has happened there. And it's just kept disappearing. It would like a little morsel of information would come up and then it would just go away. And so it's like, well, I don't know. I've kind of given up hope on the game, even though every time a piece of news comes out, it makes me excited it's maybe going to happen. And that kind of brings us to today. And this week, and this piece of news, which I'm sure you all know about, like I said, everyone has made a video about it. It is being reported that apparently the game might actually be funded by Nintendo, which would of course make it exclusive to Nintendo, and that Nintendo, if in fact this were true, would actually be making this game available on the Nintendo NX. So that's the quick primer on the first Beyond Good and Evil and what might be happening with Beyond Good and Evil 2 in this current rumor. So, in thinking about this, I guess I'm not going to quite yet talk about whether or not I think it's true. I want to go over some of the details on basically the rumor, what it means, and why I think it's happening. So, the rumor is Nintendo's going to be funding the game. And of course, everyone keeps making the comparison, rightfully so, to Bayonetta 2, where Bayonetta 2 was a game that Sega was working on, Sega and Platinum Games were working on, and Sega kind of pulled the plug and said, you know what, we don't want to publish and pay for this game anymore. We don't think it's going to be worthwhile, so goodbye, see ya. And Platinum Games didn't know what they were going to do, and it seemed like the game was destined to never release. And then, thank goodness, Nintendo swooped in and said, hey, we want to publish this game, we'll help pay for it, we'll support your creativity and development, and we'll make it exclusive to our next platform, the Wii U. And that's exactly what happened, and we all know how that turned out. The game was freaking awesome, perfect 10s across the board, sold very well, everyone loved Bayonetta 2. And that was thanks to Nintendo funding the game. And it seems like, according to this rumor, that might be happening again with Beyond Good and Evil 2. So I have to let you guys know, this rumor, it was like tailor-made for me. It was like the gaming gods came down from above and was like, hey, Rob, what would be the greatest thing for you ever? Other than a brand new Metroid game, how about if Beyond Good and Evil 2 is actually going to be made, and even better than that, it is going to be funded by and exclusive to Nintendo. Here you go. You're welcome. And that's kind of what this feels like because of how much I love that freaking first game. So, in a perfect world, this is like, Rob's favorite thing to possibly have happen. Like, I just can't even believe the surprise joy that this rumor is giving me right now. It feels kind of surreal, and it feels too good to be true, which we're going to get at in a minute. But the rumor is, going back to that Nintendo's funding it just like they did with Bayonetta 2, so the game is going to be exclusive to Nintendo, and it would be a Nintendo NX game. So that's great. That's great news. I love the idea of this happening. I want this, like many, many games, and I've made these comparisons so much recently, if this game were to be made, I wouldn't really care what it's on, so I don't need it to be a Nintendo exclusive for me to be, stupidly happy about this. Like I said, I would play it on a frickin', I don't know, a pile of dirt. If that was the platform that would play this game, I would buy a pile of dirt so that I could play Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's only a nice bonus that it's rumored to be exclusive to Nintendo that they would be funding it. So Nintendo funds this game, it becomes exclusive to their platform, they're going to make it a Nintendo NX game, everything seems to be lining up perfectly, just like it did with Bayonetta 2. Now, one last piece of this rumor before I get into my ultimate thoughts about it. The game also, reportedly has a working title of Beyond Good and Evil, The Prejudices of Philosophers. And of course, the book, the novel, Beyond Good and Evil, which the title actually comes from, features, I think, a chapter or some sort of excerpt that is titled The Prejudices of Philosophers. So that's part of why it's being thrown into this rumor, and why, if it was true, why that would be a working title for the game. I can't imagine a world where that would ever become the final title. I think it's actually a terrible title to a video game, regardless of the reference to the source material. But, whatever. Either way, that's basically what the rumor is as far as the working title and the game. So, now I want to touch on my ultimate feelings and what I think all this stuff means. So, at the end of the day, you guys, I don't really believe this, okay? And it was important for me to give you my primer and my history with the game and how much I love Beyond Good and Evil 2 and how much I so want this to be true. Because I feel like hopefully it puts in perspective how unbiasedly I'm trying to come at this negative attention here, because I want this game to be true. But you know what? It just doesn't add up. Now, this does also not mean that it isn't true. I think that there is a possibility this could be true. I'm not telling you that I think it's a slam dunk that it's not true. It's just my gut feeling is telling me I don't think that this game is truly releasing, or at least that the Nintendo rumors and the rumors about the title are true. As far as Nintendo goes, even though it feels real and it feels right because of what Nintendo did with Bayonetta, I don't know that Nintendo and Ubisoft have any reason to have this kind of relationship to make this happen. Now, of course, if Ubisoft wasn't sure if they were going to make the game and Nintendo, walks through the door with their money and says, hey, we'll use our money to make this game real, provided you make it exclusive, I mean, sure, Ubisoft would say yes, but the problem is, because it seems like Nintendo and Ubisoft's relationship over the last couple of years has just gone so sour, I don't know why Nintendo would ever even approach Ubisoft in the first place. Again, it's not impossible. Maybe Nintendo saw enough value that they were willing to go back to Ubisoft despite Ubisoft kind of being shitty to them lately, but I just don't know that it makes sense for Nintendo and Ubisoft to work together, even with Nintendo's money, to make a game like this that would otherwise not release exclusive. It just doesn't seem to feel right. Also, I kind of hesitate to believe that Ubisoft was ever even working on this game. I feel like what a weird gap in time from the last time a substantial rumor came out till now for all of a sudden Nintendo to kind of walk through the door with their money, like I was just saying, and make this offer and propose, let's make this game and make it exclusive. Yes, at last year's E3, there was kind of the quote from, I think, Michel Ancel about the director staying on board for the game, but that didn't really feel real enough to me at the time either, so I mean, I don't know. I guess it was recent enough that there could be some validity to this, but it just doesn't feel like the dots connect enough for me to be comfortable here. I just don't know why. I don't know why this game would have been so secret from Ubisoft for so long if they were actually working on it. I feel like if they were truly working on it enough for Nintendo to feel compelled to offer their money to fund this game, I feel like we would have known that this game was being made. So it just seems strange. Not impossible, so I don't want anyone jumping down my throat, but it just seems strange. Also, let's talk about this title, this rumored title of Prejudices of the Philosophers. Okay, so it's apparently a chapter or a verse or something from the original book titled Beyond Good and Evil. So, man, I mean, that just makes so much sense. It has to be true, right? Why else would it be called anything but that if it wasn't actually a true thing and a true game that was actually being made? Well, to me, because of the wording of that title, and because this is a rumor, it actually feels forced. I think that's the thing to me. Whereas a lot of people may look at that and say, wow, that's just obscure enough to be accurate. To me, it's too obscure to be real. Yes, I know, it's relating to the source material, so it makes so much sense that if this game were being made, that a working title would be relating to the source material. It's true. But because of the weirdness and the randomness and the fact that I don't think it makes sense for a video game title, regardless of the original book, it feels like it's pushing for so obscure and so pretentious of a title because, it relates to the book Beyond Good and Evil 2 that no modern day young generational gamer would have any reason to understand. It just feels like this forced kind of thing. It doesn't feel genuine to me. I feel like it's the kind of thing that if someone, one of the millions of douchebags that love to make up stupid freaking rumors just to fool people in today's internet gaming kind of rumor age, I think of one of those douchebags sitting at their computer thinking, what could I do? What kind of fake rumor could I make to start stirring up a bunch of attention and just to throw people off and trick them? I know, that Beyond Good and Evil 2, everyone wants that. What if I just connected it to Nintendo and their NX because there's all these rumors about the NX? Oh yeah, this will be great. How can I make it seem really real? Well, Beyond Good and Evil. Okay, well that's a book, and that's like let's just make it based on the source material, even though the first game, by the way, had no connection to the actual source material Beyond Good and Evil. So that's another element to throw in here. So they're like, well, how can I connect the, Beyond Good and Evil 2 rumor to the book? Well, let me look through some things. Oh, I find this phrase on Wikipedia, Prejudices of the Philosophers, is an important part to the book. I know. I'll tell everyone that the title of Beyond Good and Evil 2 is Prejudices of the Philosophers. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Everyone will believe that. So that's my fake douchebag voice, by the way. And that's the scenario in my head that I've played out that makes me feel like this title feels forced and not accurate. So again, for the final time, I'm going to remind everyone with my feelings here that absolutely does this in no way mean that it's for sure not true. I do think, in the same way that I can bring up some of these points and say I think it's why this rumor isn't true, there is definitely a side to all these rumors that point to it being true. I mean, it feels good a little bit, you know? It's like a small portion of this feels pretty good, but a much larger portion of this feels not good enough, and it feels very fake and very forced, like that stupid freaking title. I just don't think that that thing is real. So I'm going to break it down to percentages here. I'm 35-65 in favor of this rumor being fake. So 35% of me feels, you know, there's a pretty good chance that this is true. And 65% of me feels, yeah, I really don't think that there's any truth to this. And it feels like a fake rumor because it's an easy time to make rumors and get people to talk about it. Just like, hello, here I am doing the same thing for you guys right now. I'm freaking talking about it. But it was important for me to talk about it, A, as a fan of the game, B, as a fan of Nintendo, and C, as somebody who actually doesn't believe this. Most people, I don't think, in my research that I've done and videos and articles I've read, no one seems to be taking the approach or the angle to this that it's very likely not true. So most people seem to be buying into it 100% or just excited to talk about the rumor to drum up attention. I certainly was excited to talk about it as well, but it's mostly because I want this to be true, you guys. God, how I love Beyond Good and Evil, and Jesus Christ, I would love a sequel. Like I said, I don't care what platform it's on. I do get very excited about it being a Nintendo NX exclusive. And I would love to see what the Nintendo NX's horsepower and unique controller will add to a game like Beyond Good and Evil 2, a sequel to one of my all-time favorite games. I want this to be true, but I don't think it's going to be true. So if and when this turns out to not be true, and it's somehow confirmed to not be true, or it just disappears entirely and fades off into obscurity, and we never hear about Beyond Good and Evil 2 being exclusive to Nintendo ever again, I want it to be remembered that I kind of sort of saw it coming. You know, I just feel like everything about this is too good to be true. You know, the only other thing that could be, better or more of like a more obvious kind of fake rumor would be, I don't know, what's a good example? Retro Studios is making Metroid Prime 4, you know, and that becomes the rumor. Like, I do absolutely think we're getting another Metroid, but I don't think that it's going to be Retro, and if it is, I don't know that they're going to go the Metroid Prime 4 route. So, you know, but that's the thing that everyone wants to hear. Everyone wants to hear it so badly that I could see that being like a bullshit rumor someone would come up with. And this, the way it's all falling together, it just seems like it's a similar situation where it just sounds too good to be true. Personally, obviously I've been wrong in the past. I mean, the rumors about Zombie U getting ported to Xbox One and PS4, I was like stalwart. I was dead freaking sure that that was absolutely not true. And you know what? It was true. I was proven wrong. And I did absolutely admit it. I came out, made a video. I'm happy to say, hey, I was sure that this was untrue, and it turned out to be true. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong, and I will happily do the same thing here, you guys. So just remember, that's the kind of dude I am. I'm not like so proud that I won't admit when I'm wrong, especially with a rumor like this, that I want to be correct. I want this to be true, and I want to be wrong. But I don't think that I'm wrong. I am pretty sure that this whole thing is not true. So I'm going to call it good there. That's what is going on with Beyond Good and Evil 2 and this rumor about Nintendo funding it and it coming to the Nintendo NX and the rumor of the title and all these different things. I just don't know that I believe it. So if there's some freaking idiot out there that's, you know, who has no life and decided to put together this crazy rumor on the internet just to get everyone excited and talking about it, oh, I wish I made that Rayman Smash Brothers comparison. That it feels like that, you know, like when Rayman was rumored and it turned out to be fake and it was just some guy who was happy to be like, hey, look at what I did. I put it together and it's fake, suckers. You know, like, that pissed me off so much, just the fact that someone found that interesting and entertaining. And I fear that this is the same thing. I fear it's another dude, another idiot, you know, dude or girl. Maybe it's that same idiot from the Rayman thing. Somebody just put this together to drum up attention. And yes, I'm feeding into the attention, but it's only so I can tell everyone, including that person, that I'm not falling for your bullshit. And I think that this is fake. But we will see at some point, won't we? Like I said, remember, guys, I absolutely want this to be true, and I acknowledge that there's a part of it that could be true, so if it's true, you know, remember that I said that as well. Anyway, that's what's going on. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. Share your thoughts about this rumor, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Nintendo NX, Nintendo's funding it. Do you think that all of this is true? Do you think that none of it's true? Or do you think that only part of it's true and the other parts are not true? Compare it to my opinion and what I think it's going on. I guess we'll wait and see what happens here. I sure as hell hope Beyond Good and Evil 2 is on its way to us in some way, shape, or form. So, thanks as always for tuning in, guys. I always appreciate your support. This, of course, is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.